Hello, everybody. I wanted to do this little short to talk about something that me and my son was talking about. And I felt like it kind of spills over into adult world too. Basically, my son, I broke up with my son's father when I was 3 months pregnant. And I, single mom, did it all on my own. And now his father has come back into his life, maybe the past few years. My son is 9 years old now. He's never known us to be together. He's never seen it. I've never got back with him, never wanted to get back with him. He knows us separately. He knows me as mom and our life that we've always had, and now he knows dad. And I noticed that when we have conflicts, and we do, that he feels like he has to turn into something else in order to survive. Like, I think to be with his dad, he turns into something else. To be with me, he turns into a different thing. And it's confusing for a child to have different homes. I am getting him therapy. I'm fully aware of the situation. He's not crazy or anything, but I just noticed the difference. The thing is, a lot of times I have to explain to him, he's getting to the age where he's noticing that the people he loves are doing bad things, wrong things. And he's trying to make up excuses for them, trying to side with them. And I had to explain to him something very important that I think a lot of adults don't even get and understand, that even though they are your family, or even close friends, in this case it's family, that they are completely capable of making bad choices, and that does not make them right. So I had to say, even though this is your such and such, they made a bad choice. And it doesn't mean you have to hate them for it, but they made a bad choice and they are wrong. And then you deal with the rest later. I feel like that kind of spills over into adulthood, only because I notice, in my own family, people making wrong decisions and people siding with them and being quiet and not saying anything and letting them make mistake after mistake. And trust me, I get it. As an adult, you have to make your own mistakes and learn your own way, and can't nobody tell you shit about nothing. I get that. But what I don't get is, for instance, it's really the older generation, my grandmother making excuses, for her children doing bad things, doing wrong things, and siding with them just out of love. And it's like, if you really love them, then you don't make excuses for them. You don't try to side with them. You identify what's wrong and you let them know. I understand that this could be going on for many reasons, such as, the parent feels indebted to the child. Maybe the parent messed up with the child, when they were growing up, and maybe now the only way, they want to keep that relationship, so they, even though they do wrong, they still stick by their side, and that does not help. You have to, even as a decent person, let alone a parent, you have a responsibility to, let them know when they're doing something wrong. When a child, when an adult is, really making bad choices, because that's not helping them grow. And I get it. Sometimes you have to let them fall. I get it. But when you see people continuously making wrong choices, continuously making wrong decisions, reaching out for help, and you're just helping, and they're fine and they'll be okay, and you're bailing them out every chance you get, that does not help them grow into self-sufficient human beings, because they have that dependency. They know that they can do no wrong, so they continue to do wrong. And it's ridiculous, when my son gets old enough and he starts making his choices and living life and going through life, you better believe I'm going to say, hey, buddy, what you did today was wrong. I love you. You're my son, but you're wrong, or such and such, what, your opinion is wrong, or, you're entitled to have your opinion. And that's the other thing too. People are entitled to have their opinion. It does not make you wrong because you feel some kind of way, or right because you feel this way. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. But when you're making choices that affect you and affect others, your children, your family, and you keep doing it over and over, and it's not the right way to go, someone needs to let you know. And I see it in my family so heavily, that people just make up excuses for people instead of just being honest and saving them the time and the heartache and the the brokenness or the brokenness or the heartache or the walk of shame later. It's like, just be honest, and if they don't get through after you've chosen to be honest, then that's fine. Let them fall, let them bump their head. But I see it so much where they don't even let it out. They don't even call it out. They just pretend like it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. Oh no, they're fine. Or, well, so what? That's my daughter. Yeah, your daughter is wrong. You are wrong. And you are raising kids that will be wrong. And you're raising family members and, people that are close that will be wrong. And this is why I think we're caught up where we're at today, where you have so many people that will believe a lie, and stick to it. Rather, they don't even care about right and wrong anymore in this world. It's like whoever, was buddy at the time, then that's what it is. And no one stops to think anymore. No one stops to say, hey, that's wrong. You don't talk to people like that. You don't treat people like that. You don't think about people like that. Nobody wants to say anything because they're so scared of either having the fallout with the person or, they're so scared to just speak the truth and say their opinion and how they feel. And, I think that's something that we all need to work on. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and it doesn't mean anything. It's just their opinion. And if you love me and you care for me, you're going to point out when I'm doing something wrong. You're going to point out, hey, you know what? I know you couldn't do this, but you should have did that, in my opinion, because that helps me grow. A lot of people don't realize having a different opinion helps people see things from all different perspectives. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. But I've been in a nail salon all day. But when you tell me, Tahara, no, that's crazy. Why did you do it that way? It makes me think, oh, maybe I could have, no, well, if I did it that way, then I would have missed A, B, and C, but I got to this because I did it this way. Okay. When people present you with different ways or different ideas, they're not attacking you. They're just trying to get you to see things from their point of view. And that is perfectly fine. And I know my family members will curse you out for that. Like, they don't even get down with none of that. Like, don't you dare tell me I made a wrong choice or else I'm going to curse you out. That's how my family is. They don't understand to learn and grow and say, you know what? I don't agree with you. I still love you. You're my you're my cousin. You're my uncle. You're my aunt. You're wrong. I don't agree, but I still love you. And that's what life is all about. Making choices, hearing feedback, whether it's good or bad, constructive criticism, not only at work, but at home. It is very important. And honesty. And to me, it is so rare to have people that are really honest and true with you. If you have someone that loves you enough to care enough to say, hey, you didn't do this correctly. That is not someone that is trying to hurt you. That is someone that loves you, notices the error in your way, and is trying to, help you identify it, help you, see it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think nowadays people rather believe a lie. It's easier not to believe the truth. It's easier not to, think about what you could have did or what you should have did. Oh, well, it's water under the bridge. And, I've even had personal situations myself where I've had an opinion on things and, certain family members stopped speaking to me just because I felt differently. I felt they could have handled something a different way. And all in all, it's absolutely insane. And then, you deal with people. I'm all for cutting people off, but I've learned emotional avoidance is you just holding on trauma, and that's not healthy either. You cannot emotionally avoid people and think that you're doing the right thing by never confronting them and going through what you need to go through, because you don't avoid it. You can't avoid everything in life. You have to address it, you face it, and then you move on. And you don't handle things. You can't go through life you can't. The best way for you to learn to grow as a human being and a person is to communicate. And I think now we live in a world where, you can block someone at the drop of a dime. But are you learning any communication? Are you really listening? Are you learning the lesson that God wanted you to learn? Because I truly believe everything happens for a reason. And if God put this conflict here It's up to you to learn, okay, what do I have to learn from this? What am I getting from this? Because if you don't, and if you ignore it and pretend that it doesn't happen, and you cut people all out of your life, and you just have family that sides with you, it's going to keep happening. You're going to keep having shit that pop up and happen, and situations are going to keep repeating themselves until you learn what you need to learn. And you also got to realize, also too, who are you talking to? What's your audience? Are you talking to a hater? Even from haters, you learn. People, the most successful people, haters have taught them everything. Haters have given them the strength to get through whatever they need to get through. So from everyone you can learn from. And I truly think that, addressing things when they happen is important. Pointing out what is wrong is important. Accepting when you make a mistake, accepting when you're right. And within family members and relationships, pointing that out, accepting it, and still choosing to love and be family anyway. Not pretending something didn't happen, not avoiding it just because you're my son, or just because you're my daughter, or just because you're my niece, or not just, it's trauma and it's dysfunction. And I think it needs to stop. I think we need to communicate, and we need to be in places where we can communicate. You shouldn't have so much anger that you can't communicate with someone. You shouldn't have so much anger and resentment, because then you have a problem. If you're that angry and you can't speak to anybody, you have a serious problem. And that's even worse than what's going on, because guess what? Life is all about ups and downs. Life is all about people pissing you off. And, you're not going to have this life that you think, oh, it's wonderful, and we're doing. Life is everything but sometimes. You're going to have your ups, your downs, your personal relationships, your friendships, your, co-worker friendships, your boss friend, boss and employee relationships and workplace stuff. Life is all about going wrong. 9 times out of 10, everything goes wrong. When you plan to fail, because nothing hardly ever goes according to plan. So to me, if you learn how to function in a world and deal with drama, it doesn't mean you keep putting up with it and you keep going through it, but you deal with it, you communicate with it, you do the right thing when it's hard to do. If you learn how to get through the hardness, then you don't want to have to battle in life. So I just wanted to say that, because I see adults doing it. I see my son doing it, and it's my responsibility to point out, hey, you know what, son? Just because that's your grandmother doesn't mean she doesn't do wrong things. Doesn't mean she doesn't make wrong choices. You could still love her anyway, but you have to identify when someone is making a bad choice, and not just side with them because they're family, or sweep it under the rug, or ignore it, or pretend it doesn't happen. So that is key. And I refuse to have my child, grow up, especially because we're Black, and Black people sweep everything under the rug and never want to talk about it, and never bring it up again, and they live with it, and it drains them, and they, it's a horrible thing. And I don't want my son growing up in that, at all. And I want him to be able to identify people when they're doing wrong things, when they're doing right things, and choose to love them anyway, and maybe even help them. So I hope that you guys are out there doing the same thing for your children, for your family members, identifying. And by all means, if you've talked it over with them and they just want to be dumb, then you let them. But it is your responsibility to step in and say something and try. And that's all I have to say. I'm home now. I'm parked. Yeah.